Here's a quote from Mitch Albom that really has always stood out to me. It says this: "One day can bend your life." And that's a great thing to believe, because it means at any moment, any day you wake up, something magical can happen, something great can happen. Your life can improve dramatically. It also goes the other way, and that's why we have to summon the lion each morning when we train. We need to summon our best self. And so there are 3 pillars of power, as I like to call them, and these 3 components are essential to transform your body, but also every aspect of your life. There is no one thing that changes everything. But these 3 things when it comes to your health and fitness and energy vitality are: 1, physical training. And there's 3 types of physical training. I build them into every one of your programs. It's structural balance and mobility work, which we begin and end each session with. And then on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we focus on resistance training or strength training. And then on Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, we focus on cardiovascular conditioning. And they all have their own benefits and they're all essential. So that's the first pillar of power, physical training, but not letting one dominate the others. Like a lot of people run and all they do is run. They end up getting injured and they end up losing muscle because it's not a complete program. So physical train, then an effective eating plan. And we're going to go deep on this during this entire summer. And if you really go all in, you will be a master of how to fuel yourself. But it's going to be work. But anything that's worth doing requires time and effort. But you will be rewarded. So effective eating plan, nothing extreme. A lot of programs are not sustainable. They just focus on losing weight or getting a short-term goal, but you can't sustain it. So it's temporary and meaningless and often harmful because you sacrificed good things as well, like lean body mass. That's where you burn fat. That's also where you make energy, ATP. So if a program causes you to lose muscle, lean body mass, was it worth doing? In my opinion, no, because I understand the ramifications. So you got physical training. You have an effective eating plan that you can sustain. And then the third thing is what allows you to carry through those plans. And that is mental conditioning. Taking command of your mind. Refusing every story of limitation, no matter how good it may seem. Because every story of limitation that you use to rationalize and justify being less than you're capable of is destructive and will always lead to regret. So that's the core foundation, the philosophy of all this. That's what makes this work. Now today, I'm going to share some training wisdom with you. I've been training since the age of 4, literally. So I've been doing this for over 40 years, which is insane. But I'm going to simplify this. Now, people are attracted to novelty, new things, but what gets results is the principles. So I'm going to share the principles with you by first telling you a story. And this is a very old story from ancient Greece. It's about a young boy named Milo of Crete. And when he was just a child, his father gave him a baby bull. And he loved this bull. He'd pick it up every day. He'd hug it, pick it up, carry it around. And so he's a little boy. He wakes up in the morning, goes sees his bull, feeds him, picks him up, walks around a little bit with him, puts him down. It was just a thing he did. And he continued to do this every day for years and years and years. And as he grew older and got stronger, the bull got heavier. So gradually, he got stronger and stronger. So when he became a man, he was able to lift a full-grown bull. But he didn't just walk over to a bull one day and pick it up. He started with a baby bull, and as it grew and got heavier and heavier, he was gradually getting stronger along with it. That demonstrates the core principle of gradual progressive overload. Now, if you've ever learned anything about strength training, if you went to university for something, you know this principle. It is really what challenge creates change means. So you have to stimulate the body and make it uncomfortable, and then it will respond, it will adapt by getting stronger, by overcoming whatever the thing was that made it uncomfortable. So challenge creates change. But there's another principle embedded in this story that a lot of people miss, and it's to be consistent and relentless. You cannot dabble. You can't just train when you feel like it. If you did this in your business, you wouldn't have a business. If you did this in relationships, you wouldn't have a relationship, because it's the little things done daily, the little things done consistently and relentlessly that lead to massive results over time. This is the concept of mastery. By constantly striving to improve and doing it even when you don't feel like it. Now, most people, I'm teaching this because most people fail here. This is really, and everyone that I work with are awesome humans. Now, the people that really need it won't be listening to this because they don't do the extra work. They just work out when they feel like it. And that's why they fail. But I'm doing everything I can to prevent that. I just can't do these things for you. So when I make a program, there is a science of transformation. Every exercise selected, every set, every rep, everything on there, every number, every choice on your program has a reason and a purpose. And I can guarantee with everything I got that every program is 100% effective. It works every time when you do. When you challenge yourself and you do it, even when you don't feel like it. When you train 6 times a week, ideally in the morning, and you do it with absolute presence. These are the little things that people miss because they're so caught up in just achieving. But this is what creates the transformation. So here are the big mistakes. When people start training, the big one is usually in January. People are impatient. They're a little motivated too. Something happened where they're like, enough is enough. And they go from the couch to crazy. And so they do way more than they need to do. So they don't stimulate the body, they annihilate it. And then they're so sore, they feel so terrible. A lot of times they get injured doing this. And then what? They don't feel like doing it anymore because they did way more than was needed. They annihilated themselves. So impatience, that is the opposite of self-mastery. Mastery is all about the journey. Now, I mentioned when people are impatient, they often do too much and get injured. So that creates the other mistake. They are fearful that they're going to get injured. They probably tweaked something before or got injured by training improperly before. They weren't present, they were distracted, and something hurt. Or their back went out or something. Now your back, people that don't train, their back goes out too. So it's like 80% of the human population has some sort of back pain. But there's other factors other than exercise that contribute to that, like hydration. Whenever you don't get enough water, the muscles will tighten up and that will pull the joints out of position. And so that's just one of many other reasons. So we don't ever want to blame one thing for anything unless you just blatantly did something silly, like jumped off the top of a garage. I did that. That's why I brought that up. And so they're fearful they're going to get hurt. They're fearful of doing too much because in the past they did that. So impatience and fear. And then the third mistake they make is because of this fear, they don't challenge themselves. So it breaks the cardinal rule, the principle of all principles in resistance training. Challenge creates change. So I will teach you that. I will be teaching this to the day I go somewhere else, because this is the wisdom of training. This applies to everything. So how do you know if your workouts are working? Well, how do we know if we're employing these principles? Well, I change your program every 2 weeks. Not that you couldn't do it for 4 or 5 or 6 weeks and still make progress and not get injured. It does it psychologically, so it keeps you fresh and you're always learning new things. We have different stimuluses. The first week you do a new program, you'll get results as long as you challenge yourself because it's a new stimulus. That's a good thing. So you need to show up and give your best and see what you're able to do. Keep track of that. And then the second week when you do the program, you need to surpass it. Give it hell. Give it all you got. The workouts are brief, so you can do it. It's a moving meditation, just absolute presence. It's a Tony Robbins seminar without Tony Robbins. This is about self-mastery. You need to command your mind, be absolutely present, and give what you have. Some days it's more, some days less, but as long as it's what you have, that's the key. And so let's say you challenged yourself on the second week and you surpassed your previous week's performance. You either did what? More repetitions with the same resistance, or you did greater resistance with the same weight, so there's improvement, or like when we do the time circuits, you completed more work in the same amount of time, so you got through more rounds. That's how you know if you're making progress. And if you're making progress, you're improving your performance in the second week, you're doing great. Your body's healing. You're stimulated, not annihilated. Now, when you're not making progress, then you need to give your body resources. This is how you prevent injuries. This is how you get results. So resource number one, sleep. Are you getting enough sleep, adequate quality and quantity? You don't be perfect with this. Your performance will tell us if this is happening. You don't need to judge it. You're like, well, this one night probably won't do it. It's what you do over time. So sleep is the first recovery factor that allows you to heal the tissue we damaged during the day and when we train. The second thing, raw materials. As we break down tissue, we need to rebuild it. And the building materials are the food you eat. You are what you eat. So these are your protein, your carbs, your fats, all of those. But there'll be one that's more important than the others when it comes to building tissue. But you need to get enough calories, enough total fuel to rebuild. So it's sleep, adequate calories. Are you getting enough food? Third thing, are you getting enough protein? Because when you look in the mirror, you're looking at protein. Your muscle is made of protein. All your organs, your skin, your hair, your nails, it's all protein. Water is your number one ingredient. Your number two ingredient is protein. Keep that in mind. So you need to get enough protein. Otherwise, you'll lose muscle tissue as you lose weight. That will slow your metabolism. You'll feel super tired because that's where you make energy. And you're not going to burn as much fat because you're losing muscle. You can eat less food and not lose weight. So keep that in mind. You need protein. So sleep, total calories, protein. And then what was the main ingredient? Water. You got to get enough water. That's your main ingredient. Your metabolism is all the chemical reactions that happen in your day. The ones that build you up, the ones that break you down. That is, the sum of all those is the definition of your metabolism. We've been led to believe it means something else, like how well we can burn fat and stuff. It's not actually true. That was done by marketers. But we need enough water to be healthy. And a small decrease in water can create muscle tightness. And that muscle tightness affects our structural balance. It affects our energy, our ability to focus. Most headaches are simply dehydration. I can't tell you how many really smart people that I'm around that do this a lot, again and again. And so don't beat yourself up if you're not doing these things. This is your checklist. And then the final one, which is the most challenging to master, is what I call the X factor. This is your ability to master your thoughts, because this is emotional and mental distress. There's two types of stress. There's eustress, it's spelled EU stress. That's beneficial stress, like when we're training the way we do, brief, intense, consistently challenging the body, not going out and running a marathon every day and obliterating your body. That is called distress, D-I-S stress. So eustress is the proper dose to get a benefit, the proper challenge, and when you do too much or you do too little, you create distress. That's the law of balance. So I'm going to end this with the BOSS principle as a reminder. Most of you know this already, but the BOSS principle. What are the indicators that today's workout is working? We talked about the weekly indicator, but each time you train, how do you know if you challenged yourself? Here you go. BOSS, B-O-S-S. B, burn. Did your muscles burn? This will generally happen on your Monday, Wednesday, Friday training sessions when you challenge the body. That is the buildup of lactate. And that lactate has a response. Your body will then produce more growth hormone, the hormone that turns back the clock. This helps us burn fat, build lean muscle, all the good stuff. And they say as you age, you don't make as much of it. When you train, you do. That's why it's so important to continue to train. That doesn't mean you just get older and it doesn't. It's from not doing this. That's why you don't make it. And so that is the first thing. Did the muscles burn? And when you challenge yourself with very little rest, that will happen. What's the next one? O, out of breath. Did you train to the point where you were insufficient oxygen and you got out of breath? You accelerated your heart rate. That is a challenge, and that creates a change. It strengthens your cardiovascular system, your lungs, all your veins and arteries, and that is the highway to deliver all the nutrients to every cell, the trillions of cells that are in your body. So out of breath. Then S, sweat. When you train, you contract muscles. A byproduct of muscular contraction is heat. And when you do that enough, the body has to cool itself down by sweating. And in that sweat, you find toxins. And so we lose toxins each day. So people say, I need to do a detox and cleanse. No, you need to do the little things each day, and your body does it all the time. If you only do it like a few weeks a year, how do you think that's going to work? It doesn't work that way. So we need to sweat. It's a very healthy thing to do. Then the S one is struggle. Did you take it? If your first rep looks like your last rep, if you're just as fresh at the end of a training session as the beginning, you did not challenge yourself, my friend. Now, you will have different days. Some days you will have more to give, and other days you'll have less. But the key is to give the right amount. You want to achieve these things. You want to feel the muscle burn. You want to get out of breath. You want to sweat. You want to struggle. But don't take your form to the point where you're going to get injured, where the risk exceeds the benefit. This is the science. The art is up to you. The art of living it. All right, my friend. Some really cool stuff is coming. Been working on it like crazy, and I just hope you're excited as I am, because it will literally change your life, every aspect of it. Because when you understand how the body works and you have a certainty about it, it frees you up in so many areas, because we don't realize how much our bodies command our attention. When you master this, you have so much more to give in other areas of your life. I'm excited for you. Let me know if you have any questions on this, anything stands out to you that you feel is important, what you're going to take and live it. What challenges do you have? And I'll include it in the next one. You are a lion, not a lamb. You tap into the real you, but you have to retrain yourself. The way you retrain yourself is you wake your ass up in the morning and you say, I am here for a reason and a purpose. And it's bigger than my moods. It's bigger than the difficulties of the day. I am here to live like a lion, not the fear of a lamb.